And that is Gizmo eating on his own. I was beginning to worry that he was never going to even try it, because I never saw him even nibble at it. Look at this guy here. He's like, there's got to be a way to get onto that perch. But what happened was yesterday, I left town for the day. So I fed him in the morning when I left, and I thought I was going to get back earlier, but I didn't end up getting there until 8:30 at night. And lo and behold, without me to feed him all day long, he suddenly decided maybe trying to eat big bird food would be a good idea. So these are the two oldest chicks for Scruffy and Laurel, the two greens. And that is Gizmo's big brother. Well, big is relative. And that's my little clear body hen back there with Gizmo eating millet. Good job, Gizmo. As you can see, he's starting to get a little more feathered, but he's still a pretty frumpy looking guy. What are you doing here, you terrible birdie? He says, I don't know, going for a swim. Goofy bird. So here's Scruffy over here. And his little babies are now eating on their own, including the youngest one. So they're doing much better now and a lot less work for me. They are still way, way smaller than their siblings. And they will never get to be that nice big tall bird like that one. This is the second born. This is the third born. He's really a lot smaller. So yeah, the more I think about it, the more I realize that although I was kind of frustrated that I was only getting 2 to 3 chicks from a lot of my pairs, I now realize that that is absolutely optimal, because I want birds that I can show, and I want to see what kind of genetic potential birds have, and I can't do either of those things with the youngest 3 chicks out of a 5-chick clutch, because they struggled so hard to get food that they're never going to reach their genetic potential. So they won't show well because they're too small, and I don't know what their genetic potential is because they didn't reach it. They could really be small birds, or they could be big birds in small bodies, genetically speaking. There's a little guy. He hasn't given up yet. But that's why I was helping to feed him, is because the whole point with him was to keep him strong enough to holler. You know you're in trouble when the babies quit hollering altogether. It's really gone bad by then. So he's got a full crop and he's eating on his own, so things are looking up. There is Luscious and Limey, who are looking fabulous and doing the waiting game. Luscious has been making serious inroads on that cuddle bone, and Limey is feeding her and tending her like a proper man should. It's getting pretty hot today. It's going to be in the mid-80s, so you can see them kind of reacting to that. There's my beautiful Kobe with his beautiful Coco and their 2 beautiful babies. So with my new greater appreciation of the smaller clutches and what it means for the show worthiness and overall well-being of my chicks, I'm quite thrilled with her little clutch here. Plus the one I have in the shed gives me 3, which is... So there's a flip side to this. Of course, the idea of having as many birds as possible would be because you want to have as many choices as possible. And I can see how a lot of people, if they're letting their birds bring up clutches of 4 and 5 and 6 chicks, are thinking, wow, it's really good I let them have all 6 of those because only one of them came out big because it was the firstborn. But they don't really realize that. So what I'm looking at with these clutches that are 2 and 3 chicks is both of the chicks have reached their absolute genetic potential. They're both showable. They're both telling me exactly what I need to know about their genetic possibilities. So I'm really... and then I don't have to feed all those other chicks and then find homes for them and all of that. There he is. He's going to go in and he's still feeding them. You're a good dad, Scruff. It is a relief that they're eating on their own. And I'm tanking them up with calcium in the hopes that they might do a little catch up on the growth thing. But yeah, I just really have landed on, in every way, keeping the clutches down to 3 is perfect. Jester and Sky brought up 3 chicks, and they're all the same size, which is a big size. So I'm quite happy with that. This is Scruffy and Marine. And I just banded their second chick, which shows a little row of nubs on its wing that are yellow. So I know the second chick is a yellow based, but the first chick, when I took out and looked at it, I didn't see that. So he might be white based. We may have a blue, which would mean that Stratus is split to blue. But these 3 are fat and sassy. I took out the eggs and checked them. Hang on. How we doing in here, people? Oh, they're lovely. Fat, sassy babies. So I took out the 3 eggs, and to my surprise, they were all fertile at one time. 2 of them failed very early on. They had just a tiny little speck. Well, not a speck, but just something the size of a pea in there. And the last one had nearly a fully formed chick in it. So I'm not really clear what happened with that, but I'm perfectly happy with my, I'm really glad I didn't get 6 chicks. I wouldn't have had any place to put them. And, you know, Marine has 3 beauties in there. So that leads to my next dilemma, is how do I enforce this no more than 3 chicks per pair situation without shooting myself in the foot? So I'm thinking the gal that I was working with, that I was talking to from the club, said she uses a grease pencil to mark her birds' eggs so she knows what order they come in. And I'm thinking, she does all kinds of things with it. She writes dates on them and everything. I'm like, I don't need to do all that. I put my dates on the little clipboard up here. So, but if I can number the eggs, then when the hen is done laying, I can quickly candle them and leave her with 4 viable eggs. And, you know, I would check the first egg laid first, because a lot of times they're infertile. And then if I remove that, I'd look at all the rest of the eggs and take out the last ones laid to get her down to 4. Because, you know, as with this pair, they had 6 fertile eggs, but only 3 of them hatched. So if I take them all the way down to 3, I may be going overboard. But I think if I take them to 4 and they do manage to hatch all 4 chicks, then A, only 1 chick to foster out, which is not too hard to do. And B, if I absolutely have no way of fostering the chick out, and I can leave them to, I can just, you know, crank up the support on the parents, and hopefully they will be able to do a fairly decent job on 4 chicks, as long as I do not remove 1 parent. Because the other breeders are talking about having only 3 chicks per clutch, but they're also removing the hen when the chicks are 3 weeks old and letting the cock raise them the rest of the way by themselves. And that last 2 weeks of parenting is the hardest 2 weeks, when the chicks are giant and making huge demands on their parents. So I think if I leave 4 in there and I actually end up with 4 chicks, because I pulled the nest box instead of one of the parents, they might be successful. So I'm going to go with that plan and see how it works out. So, Lilith, I mean, this is not Lilith, this is Luscious. I have a lot of L-word hens that are beautiful opalines, and I switch them around all the time. So, Luscious, you may lay 4 fertile eggs and keep them all. That's good for me. This is a hen that usually lays only 3 eggs, but she's also been paired twice with an infertile cock. So she may, with a fertile cock like Limey, end up laying a lot more eggs. We'll see. The other thing is that old Scruffy up here, when these babies are done, he is done. I don't need him for my breeding program anymore, so I will carefully and gently pass him on. He's a nice bird. He has great feather, and obviously paired with a tall hen, he makes big babies. So, yeah, I'm going to let him finish with these 3, put him out in the flight and let him recover for a few weeks, and then I will start asking around if anybody needs a really nice dilute cock. Same thing with Stratus. When he's done with this, he'll be done for my breeding program. And I'll always take them out into the breeding shed after this and give them a few weeks where they're not having to feed anybody and they don't have the high stress situation going on, and they get to just eat and relax and rebuild strength. And then I'll find them a new home. So that's the baby update. I'm really glad. Look at the little, he's not even screaming at me. It's like I left him for one day and didn't respond to him, and now he's like, screw you, I'll just eat myself. Which is good. I'm ready to stop being a mommy. Okay, let's go take a look at what's happening over here. We are 7 days out from the show. It's this is Sunday and it's next Sunday. The boys have been climbing in their show box to the extent where they ate all of the millet that I put in there, so I may throw in a couple more pieces just to keep them interested. I'm still going round and round on who I'm going to take, because just as I thought I had it all figured out, I was going to take, this is Bubba's dark green son. He dumped both of his tail feathers. I see one is growing back, but one is not really enough. On the other hand, Peabody's tail feathers have grown back in again. I still think I will be able to take, come on camera, I still think I'll be able to take Boo Bird there. He doesn't have the greatest feather yet because he's only 5 months old, but he has some serious size. So, and I may end up taking Spangle Brother. This is also Bubba and Breezy's baby. This is the one that came up looking like Breezy, and he seems to have all his tail feathers and a pretty smooth head. Whereas look at this guy here, he's just a mess. The light green brother. And I would really like to take that guy, the darker green guy, but look at his tail. It's just gone. So unless he grows it back this week, he can't go. Here he is right up close here. He's a nice looking bird. Look, he only has one tail feather too. All right, y'all. I guess really it's going to be about who has all their feathers next week. Over here in the big flight, I looked and they have not touched the millet in the show box, and it occurred to me, you know, I had it facing out this way. They can't see it from up on the perch, so they didn't know the millet was in there. So I turned it around to face the other direction. Now I think the millet will start to disappear. My biggest interest being that Haverty and Aquinas right here. Get a good look at that. Climb around in a little bit so they won't be too freaked out when showtime comes. So I'm looking at my pairs here. I am going to keep, where's Laurel? There she is up there. She's getting her rest after raising all those terrible screaming babies. I'm going to give her a month's rest, and then I'm going to breed her to Hardy down here, who is my surprise split to Texas Clearbody male. He's small. He has beautiful feather, but he's small. So I want to put Laurel size on him. He's the gray-green. Hunter is the light green sitting next to him. So I want to breed him to Laurel because she puts size on things just as I expected that she would. He can put the nice feather on there, and then I will sell the two of them as a bonded pair. These two right here, this is Gray and Cloudy, and they are done, and after they get their rest, I will put them up for sale as a bonded pair. And I will warn the people. Hi, Cotton. That was my my albino cockatiel doing a flyby. And I will warn whoever I give them to that although she makes lots of eggs and lots of babies, she is not the best mother. Okay, well, look at that. Okay, Lilith is getting popular now. Lilith and Razzle, who are the two sitting next to each other, were paired before. They never succeeded in hatching any live chicks, but they have been paired together. And Sparky was paired with her last. He's the one on the branch right below. The fact that they're both sitting near her says something. But the fact that they are not actually hissing and spitting at each other says something as well. We're moving in that direction. Fertility is slowly starting to return. These two have just been carrying on like it's, you know, they just can't get enough of each other. This is Izod and Matilda, but of course I just brought them in here 4 days ago from raising that last pair of chicks. So they have weeks and weeks, and no small part of that weight is because when I feed the chicks calcium via the parents in the nests, I put calcium in the water, it makes the male sterile. So Izod doesn't know it, but he's probably shooting blanks right now. And I need to wait for a month after he's done with his last set of babies to make sure that his fertility has returned. Let's see. I believe that right there with having lost her tail feathers is Rainbow. She seems to be haunting Bubba less. Where is Bubba? There he is up there. That's Bubba up there. She seems to be haunting him a little less. I see her, when I come up here, as often as not, I see her with Buster down there. She's really ready to go. They didn't raise any chicks together, and they've been in here for 6 weeks, getting tanked up on calcium and getting a rest and doing a major molt. But I want to see her molt be largely passed before I put her in there and ask her to start producing eggs. So I'm trying to give her another week. I actually see pins are kind of gone off of her head. Oh, there's a few more left. But the fat and her breast looks a little sketchy, and she's still missing her major tail feather. So I think if I give her another week, she'll be done with that molt to an extent that I feel comfortable with asking her to start producing eggs.